When we were given this assignment, I spent so long trying to decide what I could possibly do for this project. There are so many different topics I could cover, but a lot of them just seemed bland. Things that I know I wouldn't want to sit and have to suffer through. Thinking about it though, I decided the easiest and probably the most engaging story that I could sort of present would be something personal and just how writing has impacted my life. What I decided was to show a timeline of just how creative writing really influenced me, to become an artist, and to pursue the art of animation. It's easiest to start from the beginning, and though I don't remember a specific time exactly, I know I've just always been so enchanted by the art of storytelling. Movies and television were my escape for the longest time. These stories spread out on the screen, just sparking up my own sort of imagination and want to tell stories. So I did. I told them to my little brother. We shared a room when we were both in elementary school, and we'd stay up for hours after lights out so I could tell him all the story I'd conjured up in that day. I had to tell my brother these stories because I couldn't write them down. I was diagnosed with dyslexia at a very young age, and I always really struggled with reading and writing until it dulled away the older that we got. But it wasn't before that I started to share these stories with my best friend. She and I were inseparable for years, sharing the little doodles we'd make on our homework pages and sharing stories back and forth. The strongest image that I have of my childhood is going to this park that's up between our houses. It was like 3 softball fields surrounded by a river that was just shallow enough to cross and make it to the forest on the opposite side. We'd spend hours wading through the water and running through these trees and just conjuring up our own world, characters, and plots that we had just told back and forth. But as I said, as we got older, things like that sort of died off, and we stopped going out to that park and gravitated toward technology, as a lot of us did at that age, the internet being the biggest part. That was when she introduced me to this thing called roleplay. Yeah, I know, a lot of you are probably thinking about what the word generally means, and I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but it's not anything dirty. The best way she described roleplay to me was getting together with another person on a chat board, email, IM even, and writing back and forth to create a story. It was the same thing we did when we were kids, but now it's written out. I was really skeptical to begin with, that being mostly because my difficulty with reading in general, and typing wasn't my strongest suit. I think during this time I was carrying a solid D+ in computer class. But she taught me, introduced me to this magical site called Neopets. Nostalgia kicked in when I tried to log in and actually got to do it. Looked through all my old messages, found all my pets who were dying of hunger, but I digress. My friend showed me these boards where people would come together and create stories, ranging from different sorts of genres and plot lines. Here I snapped a screen cap with some of the board topics that I found just to sort of show that diversity that I was introduced to. I spent a majority of my first years writing on these boards, but it soon became rather apparent just how juvenile it tended to be, especially with the slew of ridiculous strict rules, so I branched out. I moved to email and other boards, always feeding that need to write more, make more characters, create more stories. It's really hard just to describe how into this hobby I got it. Creative writing became something I did whenever I had the chance and helped me develop in so many ways. My reading and my writing became so much stronger the more I wrote because I became aware of the letters and how they should look. Though from time to time I would slip up, but dyslexia is like that. But it has never been as bad it was before I started this hobby. School became easier because I was able to keep up with the other kids in my class. I ended up in a large number of honors and AP classes because of the way I was able to articulate myself through my writing and my creative thought process. My art improved a lot too. It became more detailed and something unique. These characters I wrote became the topic of a lot of my pieces and projects. I was able to put so much effort into them because I knew the story that was hidden behind. It was after all these improvements that I finally realized that I wanted to spend my life creating stories. I wanted to be able to share all these adventures and characters I've created with as many people as I could, so I decided to make it a career. Currently, I'm in my third year of school and I'm double majoring in animation and script writing, implementing both of those core parts of my creative hobbies into a dream job for myself. Hopefully. Since I've been here at Ohio University, I've partook in several animation and story collaborations that have landed me internships and even possible job opportunities for after graduation. To this day, I still write. It's a hobby that I don't really think I'll ever be able to stray away from, though now I've forced myself to stay in one place, on Tumblr specifically. I have an accumulated following of nearly 1,500 blogs who are constantly pushing me, encouraging me, and giving me new ideas for stories to make me a stronger writer. With the education that I've received and this constant sort of self-talk technique from my writing online, I hope that I might someday get this perfect job. Then I'll be able to bring my stories to life, or help someone else bring theirs to life. The biggest thing I want to do is to share another world with people. I want to be able to bring things to life and give them that escape that I get when I write. Maybe I can help encourage people to do the same thing, to make the same decision so we can keep these adventures and these stories alive.